guys, this is a new Dota channel that will be talking about a variety of topics from pro games. These include topics like major reasons why a team lost, drafting, laning, team chemistry, minor mistakes, great plays, etc. Please let me know in the comments what other breakdowns you guys would like to see from pro games, and it would mean the world to me if you guys could subscribe and share the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks! Alright guys, so let's talk about the draft right here. I'm gonna talk about the final draft and not the process of the draft, right? The banning and the picking orders and whatever. I'm just gonna talk about the final draft, who's stronger at what stage, right? If you guys do want me to talk about the banning phase and the selecting phase, please let me know in the comments. But for now, I'm just gonna talk about the final draft, right? So right off the bat, I definitely like Liquid's lineup better because if we look at it, Tiny is a really strong hero right now, right? And at mid game, when Tiny, let's say Tiny and Void are equally farmed, or Tiny and DP, or even Tiny and Pangolier, it doesn't matter with what hero. Secret's lineup is actually not that tanky, and with Shadow Blade and Echo Saber, Tiny should be able to solo kill Void and Prophet right off the bat. So I believe that Liquid has a favorite lineup here. They also have Invoker, who's going to go Quas Wex to disengage into DP, Void, and Pangolier, right? Secret has a draft where they just try and tower dive. They need to push down towers as fast as they can, you know, try and stop Tiny from farming. And I think I really like Puppy's decision to get a Veno last pick, right? They know that they need to keep Tiny from farming. They picked the Veno to lane against him. And Liquid actually counter with an Omni-Knight, right? So that's really good, right? So far, just from lineup, definitely it's Liquid favored. It's good to mention that Liquid also bait out Monkey King, because Monkey King was their carry last game. So they could possibly mislead Secret to thinking that Monkey King is their carry again this game, which they end up picking Tiny. So yeah, let's get into the lanes. So, as we said earlier, Liquid drafted Omni-Knight to try and counter Veno in lane, right? So they definitely got what they wanted. However, I would argue that since Tiny is their main source of damage, they should still lane Tiny in a different lane, not into Veno. Because, you know, when Veno gales two people, even with the new Heavenly Grace that dispels, it only dispels the person you use it on and not yourself, even though you get the HP and strength buff, right? So, theoretically, if you, let's say they both get Venom Galed, right? He tries to save Tiny, he's still in danger of dying himself. So, I really don't think this is that great of a lane. I guess Liquid maybe decided that it wasn't worth swapping lanes. But this is also a reason why they lose, because Tiny actually gets a lot less farm than he should have into Veno. So this is definitely well, I believe it's a Secret favorite lane, but Liquid actually believe they have it, it's in favor of them. So I guess that's why it ends up being pretty bad. If we keep looking, also Matumba Man and Insania make a couple mistakes, which ends up losing the lane even harder. So, but we'll get into that later. Alright, now let's talk about bot lane. So obviously Secret swap lanes, right? They I guess they anticipated that they would swap Tiny to top to avoid Veno, and they countered, which is really smart, right? They had Veno go top because that's their plan. They want Veno to lane with Tiny no matter what, even if there's an Omni, which I think it's a smart choice. I think Liquid didn't expect that even with the Omni, Veno still is pretty good into the Tiny lane. So at bot, let's see. Bot lane is definitely Liquid favored, right? Because, you know, Monkey King's good into Void. You have the Void. Any melee is pretty bad into Monkey King. And then his support is a Shadow Demon, which gives him more opportunities to last hit in, right? Enchantress is a strong support. You know, you can get the early game creeps, jungle creeps, which are really strong. But in general, it's still a Liquid favorite lane. I'd say 6-4 for this lane, because Um, you can always counter Enchantress by blocking the creep camps, right? And then you also have a Shadow Demon that can always save his teammates and initiate. So they have the initiative in this lane. They can go in or go out, up to them. Okay, finally, let's take a look at mid lane, right? So DP into Invoker, pretty much Quaswex Invoker is always just good to stay in lane, right? You can just heal off. Doesn't matter if DP always harasses you with his first skill when last hitting. Quaswex Invoker is definitely the right play this game because Secret has a lineup where they just charge at you, right? They have Pango ult to roll in, Void comes in and ults, and then DP ults in, right? And then Veno also charges in and just throws out all his skills and then dies. That's how their lineup works. So a Quaswex Invoker can disengage with Tornado, right? Mana drain them, whatever. It's just really good into this game. So, like I said, I think Liquid has a better lineup. Definitely, Invoker will have like a tougher lane in the beginning, but as he gets his levels, it's not going to be a problem. Also, Quaswex Invoker is stronger in the first couple levels to team fight with. So, combining with his two supports, he should be able to do some damage. For Secret, they definitely just want to have DP ulti and push down towers, right? And then a good thing to note here is why DP is being chosen so much in this past DPC, right? Is because if you guys read the patch notes, there's actually different attack types now that affect towers differently, right? So originally, actually, DP's ulti is considered a hero damage. So the damage it does to towers is reduced, right? However, now it's actually not considered hero damage, and I believe it's Pierce, which does more damage to towers. So actually, effectively, if you're just counting damage to towers, it's almost double. It's more than doubled, I believe. So DP has been chosen now much more because of that. It's also always been a strong lane with his third skill. But still, I still believe Liquid has a better lineup here. Alright, so now that we talked about each lane, let's talk about each team's win condition and what they should be doing, right? So, if we look at Secret, obviously their lineup is a push lineup, right? They have DP, they have Veno. Enchantress is really good at pushing now, especially with a Troll Creep. It can summon more skeletons, and for each skeleton, it gives like 2 bonus damage to allies, which is like so crazy, right? They often now Enchantress just gets a troll and then just summons skeletons twice and just goes down mid tower and just does damage, right? So that's really good. So their plan obviously is to push before early aggression before Liquid can do anything about it, right? I believe that Liquid has a better draft because they do have a Quaswex Invoker to disengage. They have Shadow Demon for saves. They have Omni Knight for saves, right? It's really good. And then Tiny is one of the strongest carries this patch. And especially why I think this is such a good hero in this game is because with the Shadow Blade and the Echo Saber, right? Let's say he's equally farmed as Void and DP. It should be like easily able to kill them just with one combo by himself, right? With the new Avalanche stun duration increased, right? Well, not increased, but the mini stun increased. He's able to get Void without Void leaping out. So basically, the new combo now, instead of VTing, which does less damage than it used to, you just Avalanche, auto twice, toss, auto again, and toss a tree for maximum damage, right? Before other people can react. So Tiny should be able to solo kill both of their cores. So Liquid's plan is just to let Tiny farm really well. As he's farming up, he can just solo kill the enemy cores even by themselves. They don't have to push together, right? Play across the map. And then whenever Secret tries to do anything, they just have the other 4 heroes run up and stall. Alright, so after talking about the lineup, we know that, at least I believe that Liquid has a better lineup, right? So why did they lose this game, right? Basically, it comes down to 3 major points. 1, top lane didn't do as well as they expected. 2, Matumba Man couldn't get enough farm. And then 3, is when early game when they tried to make plays with the Invoker, the two supports, right? It did not succeed, and they made a couple misplays ending in like failure. So Invoker was also behind, right? So then they had no ability to fight early game, and the enemy team just rolled them over. So let's get into the first point, right? So top lane didn't do as well as they could. You know, they missed a lot of chances to kill. Their aggression is everything. I believe that top lane, they didn't play as aggressive as they should have. Tiny could definitely have gotten a couple kills, but I think Matumba Man was prioritizing farm over other stuff. Like right here, when Pengo goes in, they could actually kill. If Tiny uses Avalanche and then Insania just goes and body blocks him, they could kill. He has no mana for a second skill just now. He didn't have mana pot. His first skill is on cooldown. It could be a kill, right? If he body blocks correctly. So the whole thing is top lane just was too passive in this lane where they had to be aggressive, right? So if they're passive, right, they end up losing the lane. If they're aggressive, they might win. Like right here, again, Insania didn't use his slow first. He decided to use second skill first before Tiny was slowed. So that actually effectively does nothing. It just lets Tiny like auto like 20 damage more, right? So he ends up dying here. It's just horrible. Like this is why they're losing the lane, right? So instead of using that skill, if you walked up and used slow, with Tiny's tree slow, they both get 2 more autos in. Even 1 more auto in each, Veno would have died, right? Instead, Insania dies, so that's horrible. And then if we keep looking, they just make a lot of these small mistakes at top, which lose them the lane. It should be, because you know, in Liquid's mind, they got Omni Knight to counter Veno, right? Which he does to a certain extent, but I guess Ice 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 just outplay them, or they were not playing as well as they could have. Tiny actually gets a lot of gets denied a lot of creeps by Veno, which shouldn't happen as Tiny with the tree, right? Just a lot of mistakes here and there. Alright, so I'm not gonna go into all the mistakes they made in lane, right? I'm just gonna skip to the next point. So, after laning phase has pretty much ended, right? At 10 minutes, whatever, the supports go mid to fight, and Tiny is just farming against Veno, right? This is like one of the major problems, like I think at least 50% of why they lost. So Tiny laning into Veno has already gone home like 3-4 times, right? Like he's getting poisoned, he needs to TP home without dying. Like he needs to stop going top. If you look, bot lane is free. It's pushed out, but it'll come over, right? The bot, you have wards here, you can farm at bot jungle, you can farm your tri jungle, whatever. Like here, he's not farming anything, he's just getting harassed, right? And if you actually take a look, right, he gets harassed, whatever. He TPs home after Veno ults him, right? So this is already really bad. This happens like at least 3 times already. So his net worth is at 4th. Veno's not farming much either because he's just harassing Tiny, right? But that's what he's supposed to do. He's a position 3. And then Tiny just farms very slowly and then decides to go back to top to lane against Veno again, like constantly. So this just keeps happening over and over, which I don't understand why, because, you know, obviously you see nobody's in the jungle. The rest of his team, 4 people, are fighting, trying to give him space, right? But he's not taking the space. He just keeps going back into Veno. Look at this, right? He just came back from base. Like, he just went home. He's getting harassed again, whatever. He can't farm. He got like, what, 2 creeps just now? Omni Knight has to keep coming back to help him, right? Veno goes to fight. Like, this is his only chance to farm, right? And right after he farms, Veno comes back, right? And harasses him. He has to walk home again. So this just keeps happening over and over. And then, so Tiny is just very poor throughout the game, right? He could just be pulling neutral camps by himself, right? You can just pull and then Tiny max tree, easy farm the neutral camps. Like right here, he has to run again, right? And he doesn't even have TP this time, so this is even worse. But he just constantly being harassed by Secret. And it's not even like Secret's actively looking for him. He's just going to the lane where it's easiest for them to get him. Why doesn't he go bot? I don't know. Like the lane's pushed out here, right? The position 5 went to go farm this. Like he should be farming in lanes like this. And then if they fight here, you know, his whole team can get here closer with the outpost or shrine or whatever this is called, right? So he keeps walking around back to base, from base, like TPing back, whatever, and it actually just ends up horrible. Alright guys, so the last point I want to make and why I believe the mistake that Liquid made that lost him the game, right? So, like I said, Secret's plan is to push early game, whatever, right? Um, top lane has already been performing poorly. Right here, they use a chrono on a single position 5, right? So Liquid decide to fight. The third mistake they made is that they constantly lose fights where they should have won. Right here, before they get stunned by Pango, this is a bug, they're not actually stunned, right? Omni Knight decides to use Heavenly Grace instead of Purification. If we look closely later, Void actually runs away with 86 health, Purification does 90, pure damage, it would have killed him, right? A lot of these plays where they go with Invoker to try and kill, right? That is their play. That's what they do early game. They just want to give Tiny space. They want to let Invoker do stuff with the other 3 people. So the 4 of them go out, right? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like a personal mistake. If it was, I'd say maybe Insania wasn't very familiar with Omni Knight. But they make a lot of these small mistakes where they should have won or at least tied the fight, and they actually end up losing it. So right here, like I said, he used Heavenly Grace for no reason. He's a monkey is a agility hero. Giving him more strength will not give him more damage, right? If you use Purification, let's take a look at this Void's HP. So he gets burned, whatever, right here, 86 HP. He would have died, right? He's in range to get purified. Void would have died, but instead, Void gets the magic stick and jumps out. So Void lives. And then here, because he used Purification already, he can't give it to Invoker, which would have saved him as well. And Invoker actually dies. So a kill for them, or even more than 1 kill, ended up being a double kill for the enemy team, which is horrible. And Zai used his ulti, which they had to wait another 100 seconds, right? So in the meantime, Tiny is getting harassed. I don't know why he didn't go to a different place, but he's not getting much farm. So in general, they're actually losing across the board. It's not like, oh, they lost this fight, but at least their carry is getting farmed, right? It's not like, if we keep looking, this happens again later on. This just keeps happening over and over, which is why I think they ended up losing. I guess you could attribute this to just having Secret play better than Liquid, but I really think Liquid has a better lineup, and they definitely should have won this game. Like if we look here as well, they make a misplay. They should definitely let Invoker initiate so Tiny can get his VT off and do more damage, right? Here, he Massive Madness, whatever, can't throw the tree. They're just missing a lot of damage. Invoker doesn't use his third Sunstrike or anything. He doesn't use heal to do damage earlier. He missed that. Like they just, a lot of horrible fights leading to a 3-man chrono, which they end up dying here, right? So their whole plan was to have Invoker carry them out through the mid game, early game. But because of a couple mistakes in the fights, Invoker is too behind to actually help. And then while that's happening, Tiny is getting destroyed by Veno. So they actually have nothing they can do early game. The only, like, I guess you could say, fighting potential on Liquid's team is actually Zai, where he gets a Diffusal Blade later and he can do something. But just him by himself into Secret's lineup really doesn't do anything, right? So yeah, that's basically the 3 reasons why they lost this game, right? So pretty much at this point, Liquid already lost. Tiny was forced to get Mask of Madness instead of Echo Saber, and he's going for Shadow Blade directly, right? And then Matumbo Man, I guess because he's so behind, he's a little tilted. He makes a couple of mistakes later on, and the team fights, and then they just lose this game. So yeah. So that about wraps it up for this game. If you like it, please consider subscribing and sharing the video with your friends. It would really mean a lot to me. Thanks in advance. And again, please let me know if there's any type of content that you guys would like to see. I really enjoy talking about Dota. Even if you don't agree with me, feel free to reach out with me. We can discuss it, over email or message or whatever, comment section, whatever. I'll definitely reply if I think it's something that's something to look into. Yeah. So let me know. Thanks. Have a nice day, guys.